Hello everyone and welcome to my coloring corner. Today is Fun Stuff Friday and we have some fun stuff. So this is a set of 120 watercolor colored pencils that was sent to me for review by Grabie.com. Grabie.com is a retail store that's online. They have many different art supplies and all sorts of stuff. They're having a huge, well, I don't know about huge, but they're having a Black Friday sale. I'll take a look and I'll go through and mention a couple of things that are in the Black Friday sale that is going on. Let's see, in the Grabie collection. So we've got paint brushes, we've got some water-based acrylic paint pens, we've got some acrylic paint markers, metallic color pens, some more paint brushes, some 36 metallic watercolor. Ooh. I'm going to end up shopping here in a second. These are actually on sale as well. All sorts of different colored pencils. Another set that I have reviewed, the Georgion, is on sale. A nice set of glitter solid metallic paints is on sale. So all sorts of things available on sale in their site for Black Friday. Of course, I will list I will put in the description the link to their Black Friday sale as well as the link to this product. Now, I also have a 15% off coupon code for Grabie. So, basically anything you buy, you add that coupon code, you get 15% more off. So, make sure you use the code. It's going to save you a couple of bucks. The site is quite large. It has a lot of products. Let's see how many products are on this page. It doesn't tell me. But it does have a lot of different products on this page that are very helpful. Some glitter gel pens, some silky crayons, calligraphy dip pen set. Different things that are things that we use for our wonderful works of art. So hopefully you can get over there and take a look around and find all sorts of things that you find useful. Now this is just the art section. They have other sections as well. They have art supplies, outdoors, electricals, home and pet, all different things. So they've got under $19.99, under $25.99, up to 50% off. So take a look. It's called Grabie.com or Grabie.cc, sorry. And I will, of course, leave the links in the description below the video. All right, so let's take a look at these 120 watercolor pencils. As I told you yesterday, the packaging came in damaged. So I was a little bit concerned for the pencils, and rightly so. Unfortunately, the last tray of pencils, let's see if I can pull this out. The last tray of pencils, unfortunately, were quite damaged. So a lot of the tips were broken off, as you will probably see in the swatch section. Now, as I said yesterday, they remind me quite a bit of the Obos colored pencils. The Obos colored pencils are a little bit thicker than the watercolor pencils. Not by a lot. You know, it's just a touch. The leads and that seem to be pretty close to the same size, which is fine. You know, I like the Obos colored pencils, and I was thinking about getting the Obos watercolor pencils. So if these are the same as the Obos, then I don't need to get the Obos. So saved myself some money. So this set, the top layer was okay. It didn't have too many damaged pencils. However, the second layer had a couple that were damaged. And when these are damaged, as you can see, this one here is damaged. The black here is damaged, but not only did the leads just fall out, but some of the leads kind of fractured. So be careful if you do purchase this set. When you get it in, make sure that you check your pencils, make sure that they're not horribly fractured. I had a couple of broken ones on this area as well. Now I'm finding that it's in the area that damage is on the top. So this area here was damaged. So I'm finding that that's approximately on this pencils where the damage is. Because this, except for this one, almost the entire tray had some damage. Like these are all damaged. This one's damaged. This one's damaged. This one's damaged. So this bottom tray really took a beating. Once I sharpened them, they were fine. But unfortunately, until you sharpen them, you're going to find that your cores are broken, or your tips are broken. I shouldn't say the cores, just the tips. If you have damage on your packaging. So if your packaging comes a little dinged up, check your pencils. The packaging itself isn't, you know, absolutely the best packaging for colored pencils. These are flimsy little trays that they pop right out of, and the plastic packaging doesn't give a lot of protection. So now on the back here it says these are Riancy blendable pencils, and they do have the Peloton or Pantone, sorry, Pantone color mixture for each pencil on the back of the packaging. My eyesight isn't all that great, so I can't really give you a good indication of what they say. And my Pantone gizmo that my husband bought me doesn't work. So I have to play with that to figure that out. Now we're going to go in and do the swatch, and this will take a couple of minutes, so grab your cup of coffee and sit back and relax. When we're done with the swatch, we'll come back and of course do our normal testing as well as our coloring on our swatch chart. So that should be fun. Well, coloring, painting, I have done my swatch on a watercolor paper, so not to give them a bad reaction with paper. So sometimes you just have to swatch and do what you need to do on a watercolor paper. And I was able to find one that's a thinner paper that will go through my printer. So I was able to actually get a swatch printed out on watercolor paper. All right, guys, so it is swatch time. Sit back, relax, grab your cup of coffee, and enjoy the swatch. I will be right back as soon as it's over. Okay, now that wasn't so bad. And I'm transferring my pencils into my pencil holder so that I can get to them a little bit easier than in these trays. So I'll just take a quick second. Now, as you could see with the swatch, that last batch of pencils, there was quite a bit of breakage in there. And a couple of them just sort of crumbled. Now, after I sharpened them, that went away. So just be careful you don't sharpen them with a really fine point. Try to make sure that you put a little bit of a blunt point on them. These are a lot softer and a lot crumblier, I guess would be the word, than a regular pencil because they don't have as many binders in them as a regular pencil would, because you want the binders to dissolve in the water. And these pencils do dissolve quite quickly and very nicely. Now, as you can see with the swatch, there's not a lot of bleed, so the colors stay where you want them to stay. There's not a lot of washout, which is great. Nothing worse than you know coloring something with a watercolor and then ending up with a extreme washout. Now we're going to do a couple of different blending techniques with these, because some people like to use water and some people don't. I have a marker, just got to grab it here, that is a coloring brush pen for water-based products. So we'll be using this to blend as well and activate, as well as the water brush, the paintbrush that came with the pencils. And we'll see which one works the best on them. I've seen this brush pen used on the watercolor pencils by somebody else, and she was able to blend them quite nicely. So I'm hoping I have the same luck with them. Alright, so I'm just going to grab these last few. I almost had it done before the swatch was done, but unfortunately I'm a little bit slower than the swatch. I sped it up too fast. But as you can see, it has a really good selection of colors, a great range of colors. I don't like the order in which the colors are in, but they are in what they consider to be a Pantone order. So that is why they're in the order that they're in. I will probably go through and rearrange them to my color order because that's how I'm used to them and how I tend to grab at them. So if I'm looking for a yellow, I want all the yellows with the yellows, not spread all the way through with the browns and everything else. I'm going to switch you over to the close-up camera so we can see a little bit better the color range as well as the blend of the colors. So this one, of course, is white, and then we have some nice yellows into some oranges and into our pinks and reds, and then we go into our golden yellow kind of colors, light browns, into some browns, and then we have our greens. And this is just a few of the greens. This isn't all of the greens, it's just a few of them. This color is really pretty, I like that. And then we have some lighter blues, and these are more of a medium blue color. We also have some really light blues down here and some darker blues as well. Down here we have some more tealy blue. It's got a little tiny bit of green in it. And same with up here, there's a light blue and a little bit of a tealy blue here as well. So like I said, their colors are all over the map. It looks like they tried to make sure that each tray had a little bit of everything in it, which is fine if you're coloring out of your trays. A lot of us do not color out of our trays. We don't like our trays. But, you know, even if you're coloring on your own or doing your own thing, you can definitely still color with these and, just put them in the order that you want them in. They're not named, they are numbered, which is fantastic. So we're going to color this one here, and we're going to grab some pinks. So we need this one, and Just trying to find where all the pinks are. Yeah, that's the only thing. There we go. That's the only thing I don't like about doing things this way, is that you find that it's really difficult to locate the colors that you're wanting to use. So I'm going to use these two pinks, and I'm going to sharpen them to a dull point. I don't want them to have a hard point. So I'm putting them through the dull 133, and as you can see, it sharpens quite nicely. Now I still have that dull point on there. It's not a really sharp point, and that's what I want. And the great thing with the dull and those sorts of pencil sharpeners is they have this little dial on the back, this little dial here, where you can turn this dial and make it as blunt or as sharp as you want, which is great. Alright, so let's start with our dark pink. Actually, let's start with our light pink. Keep on forgetting these are watercolors, so we want the dark to sit on top of the light so that when we do the blend, it doesn't disappear into the light color. So they're not scratchy, they're quite smooth. I didn't find any of them scratchy at all. I found some a little crumbly, but I didn't find any scratchy. And once again, this is on watercolor paper, so it shouldn't warp the paper too much. This is a thinner watercolor paper, so it does have a tendency to bow a little bit, depending upon how much water we're going to use. So this flower set, I'm going to use the water brush or the paint brush that comes with the set to show you how to blend these out with just a paintbrush. And the next set of flowers we'll use the other blender brush thing, the blender pen. We may even try using an alcohol blender marker as well. You know, the clear blender pens that come in every set, just to see how well they do. It works really well for the ink tints. I don't know how well it'll work with the watercolor. So we're just putting down the pink, the light pink, and then we're going to put down the darker pink in our darker areas. And I'm going to put down quite a big bit of pigment down here. And I'm going right over top of that light pink, blending those together. And yes, you can blend watercolor pencils without using water. So you can use a lighter or darker color combination and get a good blend without using the water to start with. However, it's going to be a lot duller until you put the water on it. So don't use like a really intense color if you don't want a really intense color. Some of the colors are quite bright once you put water on them. So like I said, I'm just putting in that color. You know, and one thing about watercolors is you don't have to be precise because you're going to be spreading that pigment around with your brush. So I'm being a little bit too precise here, and I'll probably regret it when I add water. But I'm not used to watercoloring, so you don't have to worry about the white spot. You don't have to worry about any of that. Just making sure that you get the color in the general area that you want it to be is pretty much what you want to do. Like I said, you don't have to make it look pretty to start with, because once you add that water and spread that around, it will do its thing. Alright, so I've got my brush here. Now we're going to work from light to dark because we want that dark to just blend into the light, not take it over. Like so. Now I'm going to zoom you in a little bit so you can see better of what I'm doing here. Properties, there we go. Just going to zoom it in just a little bit and focus it in. There we go. And then we'll hit that focus a little bit better, or exposure maybe. It's looking a little washed out. And I don't want it to be looking washed out. Oops. There, that's a little better. My white balance was off. So that should be a little bit better on the color. Now, once again, working from the light into the dark, bringing that dark into the light, blending it in. Now I'm using very little water, and when I dip my brush in the water, I'm wiping it off so that I'm not going to get a lot of water on there. Now that I'm feeling a little bit more confident with the colors I've chosen, I'm spreading them a little bit differently because I want a little bit more of that dark in there. When I go over the light, I make sure that my brush is clean so that I don't spread too much of that dark into the light, or vice versa. Too much light into the dark, because it will wash it out if you're not careful. And that's the case with any watercolor pencils or watercolor paints. If you're not careful with the direction you're moving it or how much water you put on it, you can end up with one color whether you want it or not. Alright, so we're going to let that one dry for a bit, and then we'll continue on with it. We'll do some of the greens while we wait. So let's grab some greens. We want, ooh, these are from the broken area. So which number is this? 110? Yeah. So this is going to be our darker green, and this one's going to be our no, I want a lighter green. I think this one. What's this one? 19? Yeah, we'll do 19 as our light green and 110 as our darker green. Now I'm not doing a 3-color blend on these because it's so small. So I'm just going to move this over so you can see it. Hopefully it'll pick up the greens. I'm just coating everything with the lightest color here. I'm not being overly precise with it. Just getting that color in there, in the areas that we want it to be. The greens feel a little bit drier than the pinks did. They're not scratchy, but they feel dry, if that makes sense. Definitely have less binder in them than the pinks do. Okay, so we've got that light green down. Put that one back. Now we're going to use our darker green, which is number 110, and we're going to put that in here. Now you can also do this after you've activated that lighter color. So if you don't want them combined, you can definitely put that in after you've got that lighter color activated. Just let it dry for a bit first. Keep a paper towel or something handy in case you put too much water on it. Otherwise, you're going to wet your pencil, which is fine. It's not going to hurt it, but it does make it difficult to use later on until it's dry. Once it's dry, it's perfectly fine. Okay, so now we're going to once again work with that light and go into the dark. Now I want to move some of that dark down here, so there we go. And of course I'll switch it over to the main camera so you can actually see the color green because this camera does not pick up green very well at all. Even though I adjust it and adjust it and adjust it, it just says nope, I don't do green. It does green perfectly fine when I'm not recording. Okay, now I'm going to see if I've picked up enough of that green to, no, not really. So I'm going to do this in some dark green up here, as well as these areas here. Just blend that out, activate it, wake it up. Move it down into there. Okay. Alright, now we're going to take some yellow and we're going to do the center now that the pink is dry. And we're going to activate that. And there we have it. So I'm going to switch over to the main camera so you can see how that turned out. So as you can see, it combined quite nicely. It didn't completely overtake itself. Like the dark colors didn't overtake the light colors, which is great. Alright, so this one here, we're going to use this pen. So I'm going to do this as in some oranges and yellows. I'm going to switch you back over to the close-up. And we're not going to use the water this time. We're going to use the pen to activate it. And we're going to activate as we go. So we're going to start with this one, which is number 5, which is a yellow-orange color. And then we're going to use these ones as well. So let's get started with this one, and I'm just going to layer it everywhere. And trying to do this as loosey-goosey as I can so that we can see how much pigment we can not use. Like if we can go really light and still get a good coloring and good spread with that pigment. Oh, thank you so much for joining us, Crystal. Another wonderful subscriber. We also had one during the swatch as well. Welcome, Tina, as well. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you all enjoy the videos and enjoy the channel. We also have another Fun Stuff Friday video coming up. But this time, I think I'm going to do something a little bit different. Because I want to play with them a little bit with you guys. So I'm actually going to do the Fun Stuff Friday for the Star Joys, the swatch, and the first impressions live. So I will be live this afternoon with the Starjoy pencils, doing the first impressions and the swatch and all that fun stuff with you guys, so you guys can ask questions and that sort of thing, and I can direct you to where you can find the best answers, because I have some questions about them too. I have been watching the channel for them, and yeah, so we'll be doing that live this afternoon. So once again, I used the Koi coloring brush. It's a water-based brush, and I'm just going to wipe that off so that it takes that yellow off of there, and it blended it out perfectly fine. It's not extremely wet, so I can go on with the next color, which is awesome. So now we're going to use the next color, and we're going to see if we can do a 3 or 4 color blend on this with that water blending brush. The only thing I'm seeing really at this point is it is picking up and bleeding out a little bit of my printer's ink, which is not great. I don't like that, but alright. I'm going to put a little bit here, a little bit here. Just getting that oranges area that we want, all the areas that we want this light orange to be. And I'm just doing it fairly loosely. Now this pen isn't picking up and moving around as much as the water brush does, so I'm trying to be a little bit more precise with it and getting it into those areas that I definitely want it to be. It'll still move it around a little bit, but not as much as doing it with the brush. Alright, so now we're going to take our marker again, and we're just going to spread that out a little bit and activate that orange. And get that blended into the yellow. Yeah, this brush is working pretty good. And I don't have to dip it. I don't have to dip it or wipe it or nothing, except to get the color off of it. Of course, it's going to stain your brush a little bit, so, don't worry about it too much. Just make sure that you give it a scribble on a piece of paper or a piece of fabric, something that you can get rid of the excess color on. Alright, now we're just going to go in with a really dark red orange. Excuse me. And once again, I'm just sharpening to a little blunt end here. Alright. Just getting that. And once again, I'm putting that into the exact areas I want it to be, just so that the brush marker doesn't have any problems moving it around to where I want it to be, because it doesn't move it around as much as the water brush does. There we go. Once again, I'm just going to wipe that off and just going to spread that around a little bit, blending it in to that orange. So the brush pen works really well on the watercolors here. Sorry about that, guys. I suddenly had to cough. I don't know what's going on lately, but I think I'm starting to get a cold. I don't like colds. Alright, so now we're going to go in with some yellow, and we're going to do our centers. Don't need it for that one. Alright, now we're going to put these ones back so that we don't lose track of where they go. And I have them all in numeric order, so they should go back in numeric order. So it's really kind of simple to find out where things are going to go. Now I'm going to grab a little bit of brown. I think this is the one I want. Let's see, number 82. Yeah, I need 82 and 84. So give them both a little bit of a sharpen. We're going to do the branch, and then we'll do the butterfly, and then we'll move on to these flowers here, and we'll use an alcohol marker to see how well those blend with an alcohol marker. Alright, oh, and I missed some. So I'm going to actually just take the darkest orange that I used, and I'm just going to put it very at the very tip here, and we'll spread it with the marker like that, which gives us a little bit of a lighter area at the end. So I'm just going to go down the branches here. I'm going to turn you a little bit because drawing straight lines from the side is a little bit of a pain in the butt. Okay, so now we've got our light in there. We're going to take a touch of green for these areas here. that. And then we're going to our dark brown. We're going to see if we can activate this and spread this around the same way we do with the watercolor brush, the paintbrush. Alright, so we've got our dark brown there, so let's work from our light brown up. Into the dark brown. And into the green. Okay, so that has worked out quite nicely. I think we missed a bit right here. Let's see if we can bring that down. Like so. Like I said, make sure that you wipe off your brush so that your pigment isn't staining your brush. Okay, so let's do the butterfly here. So I'm going to use number 4. And we're just going to do everything with number 4. Like that. And I'm putting down a heavy coat of it because I really want it to have that deep coloring. Now we're going to add some red. So we're going to use number 50, which is a bright red color. And when I spread that number 50 through into that yellow, it should turn into some orange. So I'm not going to go too deep with it because I want it to spread some of that into an orange color when I blend it. The darker I want it, the further I'm spreading it in. So if I want this area to be a really dark orange, I'm going to add more of the red further up. Like that. Alright, now let's take our brush here, our blender pen. Now we're going to work up because, now let's work down first, and then we'll bring it up a little bit. Down, and just bring it up a little bit for that orange. Because I want the yellow to stay yellow, but there's some areas I want it to blend so that it has that orange. Trying to make sure I don't blend too much of that black. This area here, like so. And there we have our butterfly. Now we're going to do his body, and then we're going to move on to the next area here. So we're going to use number 89 for his body, which is a bit of a reddish brown. It's this one right here. It's got a little bit of a pinky brown to it. So it'll stand out a little bit. Like so. And we're going to leave the spots white. Like so. And there we have our butterfly. We have a flutter boy. All right, now we're going to grab our alcohol-based marker blender. So we have our alcohol blend pen. So let's start with a nice light purple. So this one is this one here, which is a pink, a really pinky purple. It's a very, very light color. So we're going to do this 3-color blend here. So I'm going to sharpen those up. Some of these work out quite well in a 3-color blend, but then there's some that are just not even something I would blend. So we'll see how it goes. I always like to keep sets in the configuration that they came for a little while so that I can get used to using them. And then I move them around to how I'm using them. These do feel very much like the Obos colored pencils. They're quite smooth. They lay down really, really nicely. And like I said, these are a watercolor pencil, so they're not going to have as many binders in them, smoothing them out as a colored pencil will, like an oil-based or a wax-based color pencil, because those have those binders in them. These have a little bit of a binder in them, of course, but definitely not anything comparable to what should be in a normal colored pencil. Alright, so we've got our light color down. So we're going to take our pen and we're going to spread that out. Try not to go too hard on it because we don't want to pick it all up. So we want to just spread it out with it. Smooth it out. Now this is an alcohol marker, so it's going to evaporate quite quickly. So we'll be able to work on it quite quickly for our blend. Alright, so now we're going to go in with the second color. I'm just going to touch it, make sure it's dry. And we're going to add our second color. Right on top of that. And like I said, some of the combinations that they have put together in the color lineup are really nice 3-color blends. So be careful when you're rearranging. Try not to do that until after you've used them a few times so that you can see if that works for you. You know, sometimes you want to rearrange it in color family order because that's the prettiest. But sometimes you just need to leave it alone for a little while just to see how they want you to use them. You know, because they may have something there. They may have a good idea and you're ignoring it because you want it to be in pretty order in your bag. And I get that. I do 100%. I prefer everything to be in their color family in order. Um, you know, I also like things to be in their number order. So sometimes it's a little bit of a catch-22 for me because I like things in their color family, but I also like things in their number order. Now I'm working from the light down into the dark, or medium I should say, so that I don't contaminate too much of that light color. making sure I wipe off my pen so that I'm not washing it out too much or contaminating too much. Like so. Now for our darkest color, let's give this a second here so it can dry. We'll start up here. And we'll just put in that dark color here. So it works quite nicely with the alcohol pen, which is wonderful. All right. There we go. I can come up a little bit up here as well. Just trying to make sure I have everything. Alright, so there's our 3-color blend, our dark purple, light purple, and medium purple. Now once again I'm going to work from the light purple down, unless I want a little bit more of that dark up. Then I'll work up a little bit. Now it is picking up a little bit more of that dark than I would like it to, and diluting it a little bit more than I'd want it to. But of course you can go over it, because this does dry really fast. You can add a little more or a little more. You know, it's a lot easier to add color than it is to take it away. So when you're adding your colors, you know, if you feel that you don't have enough on there, you can definitely add some more until you're at the color combination that you want. Okay, so we're going to do the greens, and I want a nice, almost a blue-green kind of color. So I want number 112. I think that's this one. Yep, I am good. So I want number 112, and then I want number 55, I think, would be a good one to go with it. That's 56. Maybe 56. 56 would be good too. Yeah, let's work with number 56. Because it's got a bit of a bluey green color to it. And then we're going to just fill that in. Getting our greens in there. Now this time we're going to try doing it without blending first. We're going to put the colors down and then blend them. So here's our dark color right over top of our light color, just like you would if you were coloring from light to dark. Alright. Now we're going to take our alcohol marker and we're going to work from our light into our dark. Try not to remove too much of it. And there we have it. So I'm going to switch you over to the main screen so you can see how it looks. So as you can see, it's done quite well. I'm going to take a little bit of this red. So this one here is number 50, which is this one here, and the same red that we used on the butterfly. and we're going to do the ladybugs. Now the ladybugs, I'm going to use the paintbrush. So I'm just going to do a light layer of this. The reason why I'm going to use the paintbrush is because the other brushes seem to be lifting up like the markers are lifting up the black from the printer. So I'm going to see if the paint brush will do that. Normally I do this fella green or blue, but that's okay. We're going to do them red for this set. Just because I like the red in this set. The reds are really nice. Alright, now we're going to take this deep red, which is an orangey color of red, I think. No. I think we're going to go with a different red. I think we're going to go with I'm trying to find a nice deep burgundy type of red. So 88's not too bad. It's got a little bit more brown than I like. So maybe number 70. So let's take a look at number 70. So that's this one here. I think that'll work out well. Alright, so now we're going to go in here and we're going to do these dark areas. And I'm doing it before activating it. But I'm not going to put on the black before activating it because black will run and contaminate. So we'll have to activate it and then add the black for the dots and the bug's body and or head and legs, that sort of thing. Okay. Now we're going to take our paintbrush, dry it off a little bit, and we're just going to activate get that color spread around to the areas we want it to be. I'm going to switch over to the close-up camera so you can actually see what I'm doing. So I'm just moving that color around, going from the light into the dark and blending it together. Moving a little bit of that dark out a little bit so it blends. Like so. Then we're going to do the same thing with this little bug over here. We're going to work from our light into our dark. Spreading that around a little bit. Blending that in. Like so. Alright, so those need to dry before I put the black on them. So we're going to let that dry for a bit. So let's have a bit of a conversation and see how we like them so far. So far, they are laying down very, very nicely. They're giving a good, consistent color. It's not really splotchy, which is wonderful. Let's try and make sure I put these back where they belong. Because, you know, can we say obsessive compulsive much? But as I was saying, the pigment goes down very, very nicely, blends out very nicely with all different media blenders, whether it's the alcohol blender, a water blender, or a plain old paintbrush. This is the paintbrush that comes with the set, and it works very, very nicely for small areas and details. Now, if you're going to do a larger area, I would definitely use a large brush and try to layer your colors. Do one layer, let it dry, do another layer, let it dry, because of the fact that you're going to end up picking up a lot of your color with this, and doing large areas with any type of media is quite difficult. They did quite nicely with all of our florals, and of course with the swatch itself. The only problem that I did have was I had some breakage. That is due to shipping. I cannot say that it has anything to do with the pencils themselves, because after I sharpened the areas that were broken, the core itself remained in the pencil. So I think that is a shipping issue. I will continue to play with these. This is, of course, just the swatch and my first impressions. My first impressions of these pencils are they are a very, very nice watercolor pencil set. Of course, they are not, I'm going to check these and see if they're dry so that I can flip this over. They are not something that you would want to just color with. They are something that you would want to color with something else. So I'm going to grab the number 7 from the watercolor set, as well as the number 7 from my Obos oil-based color pencil set. And I'm going to test them side by side and see if they are the same color. Now this is my Opus, and this is the watercolor. I'm just going to give it a quick sharpen. Alright, so I'm going to switch you over to the close-up camera just so you can see. Okay, so this is the Obos number 7. And we've got 3 layers. Let's do 4 just to make it nice and, oh, not even on screen. So we've got 4 layers on the Obos there, and it's a nice orange color. This is the watercolor. They are a little bit drier, definitely drier. 2, and a little bit redder. They're very close in color, like very, very close. So I would definitely say that these watercolor pencils may possibly be an pencil that is manufactured in the same facility as the Obos. Alright, so the one thing that I wanted to check with the watercolor pencils, let's dust this off. We know that they're water soluble. They're watercolor pencils, but do they smudge with our fingers? And this one here, it moves a little tiny bit, but it's not huge smudging problem. Another thing that I like to test with the pencils, with any pencil, is whether or not I can erase it. So if I put something down, can I remove it if I don't want it there? So let's grab our eraser here. And it does erase quite well. It does leave a bit of a stain, but it does erase. Let's see if... So the Obos also leaves a bit of a stain too, so... but they do erase, which is good. And we already know that, of course, they're water soluble. Now, for blending wise, let's take 3 different yellows here. We've got a dark, a medium, and a light. So let's take our dark yellow. medium yellow. And our light yellow. And see if they blend seamlessly together, which they do pretty good. I'll switch you over to the main camera where you can see a little bit better. Let's zoom you in a little bit. I know that's a manual zoom, but you know, it works. So we've got our dark, our medium going into our dark here, and then our really light here going into our medium. So it does blend together quite nicely. And then you can take your brush marker here and blend it out. Now don't do it too often because it will pick it all up. So as you can see here, there's a area here where I went over it too many times and it picked it up and started pilling. So be careful of that, because this is watercolor paper, but it's on the opposite side as where you're supposed to use the watercolor. So the backing of this page is not great for water. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not going to list the type of watercolor paper this is, because once you take it out of the package, it is very difficult to figure out which side you should print on. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not very fond of this watercolor paper. Zoom you out just a smidge here so you can actually see without being blurry. There we go. All right. So as you can see, it did very, very nicely. Great set of watercolor pencils. I'm not a huge water person, and I like the way they turned out. I liked how easy they were to use with the little brush that it comes with. I will have to play with them a little bit on larger projects to get a better sense of what can be done with a larger area. Most things that I color don't have huge areas. So, and the ones that do have really large areas for backgrounds and stuff like that, I tend to use gel crayons or pan pastels, that sort of thing, to work that background. So I will try them on some backgrounds, I will try them on some larger area things and get a better perspective on what they can do other than small things. On these small areas, they blended very nicely. They layered very nicely. I was able to maintain a 2 or 3 layer blend with the pencils and have it still look like a 2 or 3 layer blend. Yeah, so the water, they dissolve very nicely. They don't leave any chunky monkey mess or wash out kind of coloring, which is great. They don't leave lines from where you've colored, which is also great, unless you want them. You know, so it's a very diverse product where you can control it quite nicely, which is awesome. So once again, just to reiterate, these are from a company called Grabie. They are a retail company. These were sent to me free of charge to do this review. Grabie is having a Black Friday sale right now. Of course, I will list the information in the About section of this video. There is also a special 15% off coupon for my subscribers, which I will also list in the description below the video. Give them a try. Check them out. They've got everything in there. They've got art supplies, they've got household supplies, they've got some electronics. They've got all sorts of really cool stuff in there. And, they do ship it. It doesn't, it's not really, really quick shipping sometimes, but, it does get shipped out to you, and their products don't seem to be too much of a problem. My only issue, and it is something that I will be bringing up to them, is that they need to be a little bit more careful with their packaging, because when they're shipped via UPS and stuff like that. And UPS has a habit of doing some damage. So I'm going to talk to them about their shipping and making sure that they have as much protection as possible on things like colored pencils, because even though a lot of people think, oh, they're just colored pencils are extremely fragile. So, you know, I'm just going to let them know that there was some issues with breakage and some issues with shipping. I'm not saying that their company is bad. I'm not saying that the company that created these pencils are bad. I'm not saying that the pencils are bad. I I really have issues with our postal system because they do have a tendency to cause a lot of damage to things like pencils and things like that. So, um, great selection of colors, as you can see. There's even some really nice bright red colors, which is awesome. Just a really all around very nice set. And like I said, right now they have it set up so that you can do several different 3-color blends. Like this is a 3-color blend, this is a 3-color blend, this is a 3-color blend. So they do have it set up that way that you can definitely pull 2 or 3 colors in a row and still get a really good blend out of that. There is a couple in that are mixed in a little strangely. These two here was my fault. Number 8 should be here, number 9 should be here. So it would be number 9, 10, and 11 would be the 3-color blend there. But yeah, they have thought it out a little bit. They've got it in the Pantone conversion that is on the back. The pencils themselves are absolutely fabulous. The company that sold them, I had absolutely no problems with receiving the product, with tracking the product. The company seems very really on the ball when it comes to talking to people, giving out information, letting people know um, what's what with what. When I ordered them, they were shipped out right away, very quickly. I received them with very little amount of time, since they do come from China. The shipping on things coming from China can take a very long time right now, and I was very surprised that it didn't take very long at all. So yeah, other than that, guys, of course, I will link everything that I have talked about in the description below the channel. Of course, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. That is the absolutely best way to possibly support the channel, is hit that like button. If you want to join me and financially support the channel, you can definitely do so by hitting the join button for the memberships. I do have a 3-tier membership program that does have some really cool benefits for each tier. Other than that, guys, always remember to relax, color, and stay safe. Thank you all very much. I will be going live this afternoon to review the Starjoy colored pencils. So let's see how they handle. Let's see the swatch and our first impressions. Until then, thank you all very much for joining me. Have a wonderful day, and also always remember to relax, color, and stay safe. Until later on today with another Fun Stuff Friday, bye bye for now.